Good morning. I am not sure exactly what's going on, but my printer will not work, my computer is acting up, and now my phone didn't really want to record this message. So I really have no clue what's going on with my electronics, but we're going to make it through. I finally think I got PowerPoint working now. We are looking at salvation. We are continuing our study of what it means to be a people who believe in salvation, who understand the words that are associated with salvation. We looked at propitiation last week and how Jesus paid the price. He was the cost that was associated. It was his blood that took care of that problem. This morning we are going to continue with that subject by looking at the idea of redemption. To redeem something. To buy it back. That's the idea of redemption. The Hebrew words gal, to redeem, deliver, avenge, or act as a kinsman. And that last little bit is dealing with the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy, where there was someone who could redeem someone else, who could redeem sometimes even the act of vengeance. So it's this idea of the role of a kinsman in redemption. The other word is padah, to redeem or ransom. And then we have kapar, to ransom, atone, expiate, propitiate. So again, it's these ideas of redeeming something. The Greek turns it into some different words. We have this idea of redemption, or a deliverance, or a releasing. And what's interesting with both of these words, latrosius and apoltros, these words carry the idea of a price paid. Anytime something is redeemed, you have to pay the price. The price has to be paid by someone. You don't just go and say, oh, hey, that's mine. I want to take it back. No, you have to pay the cost associated with whatever the debt is. And every word dealing with redemption has a cost associated with it. So let's go ahead and look at the word as it is used in the Bible. We're going to start with an example in the Old Testament, because in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 23 through 24, praising God, we see this interesting line about God and how he has redeemed Israel already once. And who is like your people, like Israel, the one nation on the earth whom God went to redeem for himself as a people, to make for himself a name, and to do for yourself great and awesome deeds for your land, before your people whom you redeemed for yourself from Egypt, the nation and their gods. For you have made your people Israel your very own people forever, and you, Lord, have become their God. Now, what we're reading here is basically praise for Israel. Israel is God's nation. You're getting this idea that Israel is a great nation, but it's all tied to the fact that God has made Israel his personal nation. And the way that he did it, they go back to the book of Exodus. We're told, look, you redeemed them. You brought them back out of captivity, out of the land of Egypt. You brought them back to where they belonged. You have made them a great people. You've made a name for yourself. You see, the purpose of Israel was to be a light to the surrounding nations. they are God's people, and the way they are God's people is that they are showing everyone else, this is who God is, this is what God has done for us. And God did that. He made a name for himself. He showed how great he is by redeeming them. Now, think about the Exodus. Think about the reality that God sent the plagues. Think about the reality that God made them offer sacrifices. Think about the reality that God killed the firstborn of of Egypt. See, there was a cost associated with Israel leaving Egypt. God redeemed them from Egypt. He brought them back. He made Egypt pay the price for taking them. There was a price associated with it. But in doing so, he made them his people. There's always a price associated with redemption. And the book of 2 Samuel shows us, look, God will take care of that price. He will make that price get paid. In Titus chapter 2, shifting to the New Testament, we see how redemption is applied towards us. Because you see, in Titus chapter 2, verse 14, we read, who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from every lawless deed and purify for himself his own special people, zealous and good works. Zealous for good works. Now, Romans chapter 3, verse 23, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We know that. We also understand that the Bible teaches us that we make horrific mistakes. That we sin. That we rebel against God. That all of us at one point or another have done things that have led to Christ going to the cross. Think about that. Sin separates us from God. Your iniquities have separated you from your God. That's what the Bible tells us. The Bible tells us that temptation brings forth lust. Lust brings forth sin, which brings forth what? Death. All have sinned, all have fallen short of the glory of God. The wages of sin, Romans 6:23, the wages of sin is death. We have all sinned. We all deserve death. And Jesus said, I'm going to redeem them. I'm going to redeem every single act of lawlessness. Who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from every lawless deed. There was a price that had to be paid. We keep reading. Ephesians 1, 7 through 8. In him we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins according to the riches of his grace, which he made to abound towards us in all wisdom and prudence. We have redemption how? Well, the blood of Christ. In the book of Hebrews, we read of how the blood of bulls and goats was used to roll back the sins. We read of how it was the law of Moses that established this idea that you sacrifice a bull, you sacrifice a goat. It redeemed the people for a time. Because the blood was needed to pay the debt, to pay the cost of sin. But the book of Hebrews continues on by telling us, the writer says, look, the blood of bulls and goats could not forgive sins. It was an imperfect system in that all it could do was pass the debt forward, push it on. And that's where Jesus comes in. Jesus looks at us. He says, this is a lawless people. This is a people who have done horrible, terrible things. I want them to be back in line with me. I want to restore them. I want to redeem them. And the only way I can do that, the only price that can be paid, is the shedding of blood. The only price that will resolve that debt is the blood of Christ. Yesterday we went to the Ruston Youth Rally. I spoke on the topic of grace. And to these young individuals, I told them that I wanted them to imagine for a moment that they are in jail. They got arrested for something. That they're brought before the judge, and the judge says, hey, look, I'm going to, here is your crime, here's what you're guilty of, here is the sentence. But I'm going to show mercy to you. And I'm not going to actually make you pay that price. You deserve it, but I'm not going to make you pay it. But then the judge looked at him and said, but the price still has to be paid. A crime is still committed. A debt is still incurred. So grace is the judge saying, I'm not only going to not make you pay it, but I'm going to pay it for you. So I want you to imagine the judge gets off of his stand. He goes to the bailiff. He holds his arms out and he says, arrest me. I will pay the debt. I will take the debt upon myself. That is grace. Now for us, that is exactly what Jesus did. He says, look, you have sinned. You have committed a crime. I will show mercy to you. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. You should perish. If you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to perish. That is the result of our sin. Should not perish, but have everlasting life. But God had mercy towards us. Christ had mercy towards us in that we did not perish. But the debt was still there. So Jesus came to this earth and he says, through grace, I will pay the debt. Redemption is the payment. Redemption is Jesus being nailed to the cross and his blood being shed. Redemption is the cost that is associated with buying us back. That is what redemption is. Jesus said, look, the debt is still there. I'm going to show you mercy. I'm not going to make you pay for it, but it's still there and it has to be paid for. So I will show you grace. I will give you something you do not deserve. You do not have any right towards. I will pay it. And the way in which I redeem you is through the blood of Christ. It's through my own blood, the shedding of my blood. In him we have redemption through his blood. In Galatians 3:13 through 14, Paul tells the church of Galatia, Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree, that the blessing of Abraham might come upon the Gentiles in Christ Jesus, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Here, Paul goes a little bit deeper into Jewish theology, basically. He said, look, Abraham had made this promise. Abraham had been told, through your seed, all the world will be blessed. And Jesus redeemed us. He redeemed not only the Jewish people, he redeemed all of mankind. He allowed all of mankind to come to him. The curse of the law was for the Jews. The law could not be kept perfectly. The law was done away with by Christ. It was fulfilled. And now all men everywhere have a chance at salvation through his blood, thanks to him having redeemed us. Redemption is looking at something, understanding the cost, understanding what it will take to buy it, and saying, I'll pay that. And when it's your own item, if you go to a pawn shop and you pawn a gun or you pawn a computer or whatever it is, it makes sense that you redeem your own item. Hey, I want to come back and get this. I want to take it back out. I want to redeem it. But Jesus did more than that. Because I incurred a debt. I incurred a cost that I could never repay. See, that's the reality of the situation. The debt that we owed is something beyond our ability to repay. Jesus looked at us. He looked at the cost. And he says, I cover it. He said, I'll take care of it. I will pay the price. And that should mean the world to us. You know, it would be one thing if someone said, oh, hey, I want to do you a favor. I want to pay your rent this month. Or I want to do this for you. I want to make your car payment for you. We go, man, that's a nice gesture. I appreciate that. You don't know what you're doing for me. It's a whole different thing when someone says, hey, I'm going to take my life and I'm going to exchange it so that you don't have to give yours. That just went off, didn't it? I want us to understand something this morning. You know, the world, at this particular point, you can't go outside without seeing Christmas. In fact, starting November 1st, you couldn't go outside without seeing something for Christmas, it seems. The world is very focused on the birth of Christ right now. As Christians, we appreciate the birth, absolutely. Mary and Joseph rejoiced, the wise men rejoiced, the angels sang songs of praise to him. People came to see the baby. But for us, what we hold dear is his death. Upon the first day of the week, we come together to remember the cost, the price he paid to redeem us. This morning, if you are here and you are not a child of God, if you have not done what is necessary to be redeemed, to be restored, to be purchased back from the life of sin that you have lived, then come forward. Let us study with you. Let us show you how through a belief in him, a belief that is active, a belief that is genuine, a belief that leads you to say, look, I need to change. But a belief that results in you saying, look, I believe he is the Christ. I will confess that before men, and I will be baptized for the remission of my sins. I will be baptized into his blood, the blood that was shed so that I might be redeemed. Come forward. Do that. Understand that if you've done that in times past, but somewhere along the way you've allowed yourself to fall off the course, you've turned away from him. That blood is still there. You see, the blood of Christ did not forgive the sins up to the point in which you said, okay, this is it. I'm only redeeming to this far. The blood of Christ continually redeems us, continually restores us. John tells us if we walk in the light as he is in the light, his blood will continually cleanse us. The redeeming power of the blood of Christ is eternal. If you need the prayers of the church, if we can help you in any way, now's the time as we stand and as we sing.